So this is a presentation about guns by me, Christian Bellinger. And now guns, the first thing that people think about guns is either they go to something that you know and love, or it's something that's scary and mostly unknown. Now, according to the Pew Research Center, about 1/3 of all Americans own a gun, as you can see, more so in the South. And so a few of you might know someone, a relative or a friend who owns a gun. Now, nearly all men on my father's side history have been in the military, and with my grandfather on both sides being in the Army and my father in the Navy. And my father has always kept a few guns and weapons in his room closet since I was a kid, and he actually never mentioned it to me, but I always saw them up in the very top. And until recently, I actually purchased my first gun. So being a gun owner, I don't want to talk about the politics and debate about guns. I want to talk about the statistics and some information about guns. Coming from a family who owns guns, you would think guns are a big part of us and make other people's identity. But everyone, including myself too, on my family, are all reserved about our views and mentioning of guns around people. So I want to talk about some statistics, benefits of gun ownership, and then ideal changes with the laws about guns. Now, a recent study published in the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy concluded that there is a negative correlation between gun ownership and violent crime internationally. So that's with all countries. So the more guns that people own, the less crime there actually was. And nations with stricter gun laws have substantially higher murder rates than those who do not in general. Now here's a graph from the NRA, and from their database, they said that 42 people in households have a gun, and the high statistics are 47% of males in this research study own a firearm, most of them being white and most of them being Republicans, with only 13% of females owning guns, 18% non-whites, and 23% Democrats owning the least amount of firearms. Now, guns can also provide protection when law enforcement can't. Law enforcement can only do their best, but that's not good enough in certain situations, especially in large and rural cities. You could end up losing your life or the life of a loved one before the cops can even get to your location. This is where a gun can be immensely useful. It's better to be safe than sorry. Why would you rather be prepared for a fire in your house with a fire extinguisher, or would you rather watch your house and all your belongings get burned to the ground? Exactly. It's better to be prepared with a gun than end up in a life-threatening situation without one. You have a much higher chance of survival with a gun. And that's coming from dansecurity.com. Whether you own a firearm or not, whether you intend on carrying a firearm or not, attending a concealed firearms course will help you understand what firearms are and what they are not. It will help you learn the basics of firearm safety, and will be able to treat and handle a firearm safely should the need arise. And that's coming from Rob, an NRA certified pistol instructor and Utah concealed firearms permit instructor. So with all these benefits and of ownership, how do the laws come into play? Now, as mentioned before, I believe everyone should probably take a basic firearm course at some point in their life with no live fire required, just learning the basics of how they operate. Now, there are some proposed future bills in Florida that could be enacted, with the first one being an open carry law that would allow for the open carry of handguns by the state's 1.7 million concealed weapon permit holders. And I would personally not want that law to come into effect. That is just one bill that would be split up according to each area in each of the following slides, along with other gun-related bills that some should and should not be passed. I believe we should allow bills to conceal carry, not open carry, in places that already have a gun-free ban, in such places like schools, college campuses, airports, theaters, and establishments selling alcohol, because these are the places with the most risk of shootings and where most mass shootings happen, where guns are not allowed. But places like police stations, jails, prisons, and courthouses where people with guns already exist should not have an open carry policy, and these people should not be burdened with such higher risks. Although there are many misconceptions and fears about guns, being a gun owner is something that is part of my lifestyle. Now, whether you already know some of this or it's all completely new, I hope you're more informed about guns than you did beforehand. I've talked about some statistics, some benefits, and ideal changes in gun law, and I hope some of you are more comfortable, at least with the information of guns, and can at least shoot a gun sometime in the future as a satisfying and scary experience, but cross off as a future accolade too. And my references, and that's it.
What class are you taking for this for?
For speech communications, yeah.
How do you like it?
Good, this is the